The Impossibilities of the Circular Economy. A cartoon published and funded by 360dialogues.com based on the book The Impossibilities of the Circular Economy, Separating Aspirations from Reality. Circularity is a hot topic, but there are many issues with it. On the one hand, are the circular economy enthusiasts who are shouting, "Circularity is the answer to climate change, and the green economy can grow forever." On the other side are the concerned scholars who are shouting, "But it's not based on reality." In this movie, in this comic, in this cartoon, we will explore these arguments and try to find out what is true and what is not true. The lure to circularity is strong. If waste became a resource, this would be like magic. Waste would cease to exist. This would be a very aspiring goal. And what would be even better, the economy could keep on growing since the growth would be green, something we all hope for. The enthusiastic policymakers also say that business could actually profit from being ecological. Think about it. But there are always the group of concerned scholars who say that they love the promise of circularity as much as the enthusiast would do, but let's get real. Another thing that is always mentioned by the concerned scholars is that the current concept of circular economy has massive flaws. For example, the factor of science. Here the enthusiastic ones say, prove it. Let's start with energy and materials. The irony is that it takes a lot of energy and materials to reuse materials because these materials have to be disassembled or transformed in any way, and this takes a lot of energy and other materials to do this. And consider that it's worth remembering that a lot of the materials that should be disassembled these days are alloys and blends. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of materials, and it's very intensive to separate these again. So to make out of one material more materials by separating them, it takes a lot of energy and materials. And isn't the point about circular economy that all energy comes from renewables anyway? So it's not a waste of energy because this energy comes from renewable sources. Well, here are again the concerned ones. Theoretically this is true, but in reality not, because we don't have enough natural resources to build the necessary infrastructure at the necessary speed and scale. So we would need tons of materials to build a renewables infrastructure, and we would need time. And moreover, some materials are hard to access. This again needs energy we don't have, at least not in the necessary scale, in the necessary amount of energy. And at every stage, some materials would be lost permanently in this process. This is called dissipation. Adios. So, if the economy keeps growing as it does right now, the Earth simply does not have enough raw materials. Circular economy or not, we simply run out of material to do anything we want to do. What about organizations? Circular economy assumes a cooperative ecosystem where organizations share information freely. But is this really true? The ones have business models. Share information? No way. Information is our competitive advantage. The others have organizational models. Share information? No way. My bonus depends on me knowing more than others. And on the third hand, there are the administrative boundaries. Why should they share information? They don't even have the authority to do so. So, what to do? The silo issue we have here is a problem even with the academics. On the left side, there are the economists. They say that economy is not even a real science. Why should they talk to the physicists? Because they only study human behavior. And the biologists, why should they study material flows? So this is also a topic of misunderstanding and not listening to each other. And what about the politics? For example, the EU and China agree that circular economy is nice, but only on paper and thinking about it. But each part has different issues to cope with. For example, there are problems, industries will lose out, regions will lose out. Both parts, EU and China and also the US, have the same problems with circular economy. And what does economy say? At the heart of the matter, it is impossible that an unlimited growth on this planet is possible within a limited space. So this is displayed by the big elephant on the globe. There are planetary boundaries, and we cannot do more or use more than we have. The Club of Rome stated in 1972, the global system of nature in which we all live probably cannot support present rates of economic and population growth much beyond the year 2100, if that long, even with advanced technology. Let's think about this. So we need a much smaller and regenerative global economy in order to keep our planet sustainable in the first place. So what is a good scale for our economy? It's called factor X, which means the use of natural resources must become X times more intelligent and efficient. The name factor X, originally factor 10, and this meant that industrial nations should aim for 90% reduction in materials use. Think about it. This factor implies that huge resource efficiency potential exists in many areas of production and consumption, which so far has largely remained untapped. So in short, the circular economy concept has become misleading and potentially a dangerous fluff. Nothing more. So, are we saying that we should abandon circular economy? Absolutely not. The answer is circular economy. So the enthusiasts are asking, the concerned ones, what do you suggest then? And they say, let's first of all forget the silver bullet thinking, which means that there is a single, easy solution for a complex problem. So our ultimate goal should be the regeneration of our planet through sustainability. And circular economy is a tool to get there. Not the only tool, but a tool we could and we can use. So what is sustainability? According to its definition, it is a state of a complex, dynamic system. And in this state, a system can continue to flourish resiliently, in harmony, without requiring inputs from outside its system boundaries. So, sustainability captures all the things that make the planet habitable, also for future generations, such as biodiversity. But again, there are the controversial or concerned ones, and they say, mainstream circular economy thinking also misses social aspects of going circular. So, what are the impacts on the social groups? The rich one says, it's amazing how little circular economy has lowered our standard of living. But the other ones are suffering maybe from this. So if we want to be sustainable and build a circular economy, we have to understand systems. For example, there is an action like deep sea mining and it's on the object level. But there are also impacts and increasing complexity and unpredictability on the system level, and we have to consider all this if we want to build a circular economy. But fortunately, systems thinking and complexity awareness is spreading fast. So people realize that they are part of a system and not a single entity. And there are wicked problems that could be solved by thinking like a system. In order to make progress, therefore, we need an interdisciplinary approach, also within the scientific community. So, if someone had an idea and the other ones are thinking about, for example, deep sea mining from the systems perspective, and, well, they talk to each other, there could be a solution. And learning to accept complexity and the unpredictability that comes with it is a key factor. Otherwise, the efforts in circular economy could be futile, even dangerous, even if it's uncomfortable. We should and can do it. So back to our basic problem. Unfortunately, most organizations are still very much trapped in linear thinking and not in circular thinking. And also, sadly, our current thinking on circularity is still based on concepts from the 19th century, from linear models, and not by or of systems thinking. So, for example, if you think in terms of systems instead of single objects, you realize that you simply cannot ship trash to the other side of the planet and claim you've nailed recycling in your own country. So the ones have the trash and the others don't. That's not a solution. And before we even contemplate circularity, our production processes must become much more and radically more resource efficient. For example, we cannot keep using water or this much water to build material or to build a single item. It's not feasible on a permanent scale. And the gains in efficiency must be servants to the goal of sustainability. Otherwise, we will get hit by rebound effects. There's no use in building so many materials, so many things, so many machines if we don't need them. Think efficient and use less of it. Our current economic system is somehow like Pac-Man in the 80s. It's feeding and feeding and feeding and cannot stop until it has eaten up all pieces and the last pieces of natural resources. Therefore, we have to rethink the current economic system. So, a single good idea with big demands. This will get political, and of course it will and it must, because this is also a political decision how to change and if to change the current economic system. And by the way, politics is negotiation, and we have to negotiate. True negotiation requires acknowledging uncomfortable facts, like the fact that there will be losers. Not everyone can gain from a change in the system. Like here, maybe he has invested zillions in building this particular shape, but it doesn't fit, and therefore it has to be changed or discarded anyway. And in order to cooperate across boundaries of countries, of continents, we need shared values and cultural understanding. What does it help if someone asks if this gap should be filled if the other person or the other country doesn't even understand what a gap is or doesn't see the gap? Perhaps the single most biggest challenge is that we can't see what's possible because we are trapped inside one idea of operating in the world, our idea. We don't see how the other persons, the other countries, the other continents are working. So the single question does not have to be or must not be how do I reduce time to market. We have to learn to think on multiple levels. And this applies especially to the leaders of the nations. If they don't rethink, we won't have a chance. So if we first acknowledge the challenges, we can make circular economy a truly successful tool in building a sustainable world. So let's talk, let's get to work.